Welcome back to Books and Beyond with That Guy Jay. I'm your host, That Guy Jay. I'm joined today by Dez, better known as Wristwork on TikTok.
Yes, yes.
I'm glad to finally have you on here. We've had to reschedule a couple times because I got sick.
All right.
Real quick, we'll start with a watch of the day. I'm currently wearing the Hamilton Murph
Mm.
on a Barton NATO strap. What are you
Fantastic.
wearing today?
So I have on one of my favorite. This is the Montage Dive Watch. I'm a super huge fan of burgundy dials, so this was a no-brainer for me, especially coming on the pod today. I wanted to wear one of my favorite watches, so that's one of them.
Very nice. That's actually something that's taking me a little bit of time. I'm trying to branch out into colored dials. I've been super basic all like for a while. All of them were just I was like black dials. Gotta be black dials. But
Yeah, I think one of the things for me is that wearing something black, white, or blue has always been the staple because you can wear it with a multitude of things. And once you start to get into color dials, which right now I'm a super huge fan of green. So I love green right now. So those are the type of dials that I'm trying to get into. Shout out to the Seiko Alpinist. That really started it for me.
the Alpinist is real nice. I actually this watch was a gift from my parents last year when I turned 40,
Hmm.
and I also got as a gift. I got a Citizen. I don't know how to say it. Soya,
Yeah. Yep.
but it has. I got the green dial version of that. Beautiful, nice, like sunburst. Green's my favorite color too, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to branch out. Like I know, like I feel like I need a good blue dial watch at some point.
I'm
Burgundy's another good one.
Yeah, one of the things I was looking at is the Oris Big Pilot. They have a fantastic burgundy dial for the Big Pilot. It's probably one of the best looking burgundy dial watches out. Is the Oris Big Pilot. Fantastic watch. If you want burgundy, that's the one I would suggest.
I'm a big fan of Oris. I went to I live right outside of New York City, so last fall there was the what do they call it? The wind up.
Watch Fair. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was blown away by the Oris display because they were one of the more packed displays, but like the dudes there were super into showing you whatever you wanted. They were so cool. Oris is high up on my list.
Oris is high on my list. Tudor is, if anyone knows, Tudor is my favorite watch, especially when we're talking about luxury. Tudor over Rolex for me any day. That's just, and the reason for it is because I love the utilitarian design of Tudor more than Rolex, and that's really where it does for me.
You know that it's same for me in I can't afford a Rolex right now, but even if I could, I'm so frustrated by the culture that are like around Rolex currently,
Yes. Yes.
where it's like you can't even go get one, and they have this like forced scarcity. They make a million watches a year. They exist. They're not hard to find,
Yeah.
but they won't sell them to you. Like there's
No.
so many hoops you have to jump through, and they originally started as a like they were a tool watch.
One of the things, and as you know, I love to kind of dive into the history of horology and watchmaking. And that's one of the things that I've been just frustrated about is a lot of these watch manufacturers started off not only as tool watches, but for the everyday working man and woman. And it's so funny to see how a lot of these watch companies have deviated from that to become what they are now. Like most people like to put Rolex into like ultra, but no, they're not. They're right there with Tudor.
If you want to be like technical about it, like they're entry luxury.
Thank you.
Like
Yes.
their
Yes.
price doesn't necessarily reflect it, but Tudor is what Rolex used to be. You can
Yeah.
walk into a store and you can get it.
Mhm.
It's a utilitarian watch. It's gonna hold up. It's got the specs.
It's got everything that you would want and need, and also Tudor loves to draw from their older models back in the day, and they harken back to those models. So the Pelagos, and all of the Black Bays, they look, even though they're modernized, they're basically from an older era. And Rolex, and I have a few Rolex models that I like. So the Air King is one of them, the Milgauss. But outside of those two, I don't really like any other Rolex model, to be honest.
Yeah, do you follow Andy's watches on?
I, he's one of my favorite. Yes, absolutely.
I had him on the pod at one time and we were talking about this too. Is like everyone's crazy about the Daytona. And like functionally, it's got screw down, um, the screw down crown, but it also has it for the chronometer buttons. It's like it's not
Mhm.
even practical.
No, no, none of those. A lot of those watches are just for flash, but the substance of the watches aren't really there. And that's again when we go talk about Tudor. That's why Tudor wins it for me is because they actually make watches that are useful in their design and functionality. You know,
Yeah,
yeah, Rolex has gone way away from that, but Omega is another watch company that I do appreciate. Of course, the Speedmaster is one of my favorite watches, but Rolex is just I don't know. I've just never really been a fan. And when I used to rank, well, not used to, but when I rank watches, I put Grand Seiko above Rolex. That's just my opinion.
I think that's fair. I think it's fair to do so. And also Rolex has become such like a statement piece where it's like non-watch people
Right.
get a Rolex just because it's a Rolex.
Man, and I was starting this. I was gonna start it on my TikTok, but I was gonna talk about the big six. So when we talk about Bulova, Citizen, Orient, Timex, Casio, and all those watch brands, a lot of people don't even really know that those watch brands have so much history and have done so much for the world of watchmaking that to your point when people hear Rolex, oh, Rolex has to be the best, and they don't understand that Timex was made in 1854. They
Right.
superseded Rolex by almost longer than 50 years.
Right.
They were made. So it's like
Well, let's circle back here now. When did you get into watches? Have you always been a watch person? Because I'm actually newer to this hobby. I'm only a couple years in.
So I started pretty young. I was fascinated with watches. My father had a Bulova Accutron from 1977, and I always wanted it. And when he passed in 2009, I was finally able to get it and wear it. But that was started my curiosity. I would say I really kind of like went head into watches in about 5 years ago. And my first watch, believe it or not, was the Seiko SRPD 71. That was my first introduction into the world of automatic watches.
Yeah, see, I started with I do a bunch of reselling. I have a
Mhm,
disability, so I don't have like a traditional 9 to 5 job.
mhm.
And I came across a lot of watches, and I'll sell anything. And so it's like, all right, let me take a risk on this. I know people like watches,
Mhm.
and it was a bunch of like it was like 80s and 90s. There was Timexes, there was a Seiko in the mix, and then I was like, I tried a couple of them on, and I was like, kind of like this.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
so I started doing a little bit of research, and the first watch I actually got was the Casio AE 1200,
Okay.
and I
Yep.
was like, $20, no risk. Like, let me see if I like this, if I can wear this every day, because I got an Apple Watch years ago, and I just stopped wearing it. I
Same.
did nothing for me.
Yeah. Same.
And so I got the Casio, and I was like, I started wearing it every day, and then I started learning about what a mechanical watch was, and I was like, all right. So I didn't want to take another big financial risk, so I got an Addy's Dive, the Captain Willard homage,
Okay. That's a nice
and
one.
so it was like my first time buying on AliExpress. I got all these discounts for the first purchase. I got it for like $65, and it's got a
Okay.
Seiko NH35. It's got sapphire crystal, like specs wise, it's a great watch.
Right. It's amazing. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then from there it was just like I was all in because I used to like I've always been a car guy, and I knew a
Okay.
lot of car people were watch guys too, and like it took me a little bit of time, but I got it. It's like the movement really is like an engine. There's so many different movements out there, and then you start digging into the history of these brands. Like a lot of these brands are hundreds of years old.
Yeah. Yeah. I would even for me, when I started to look into field watches, is now my preferred style of watch. And you start to look into like CWC and Marathon and understand how they came about, the Bull of a Hack that I really love. And I remember someone asked me, like, what does the hack mean? Well, I say it's the hacking seconds hand that Bulova had. And then when you start to get into Vostok, which can be hit or miss, obviously, depending on the time period, but Vostok is so insanely crafty. They developed their own movement because they weren't allowed the access to go into the Swiss or the American market. So
Right.
their movement, and especially on the stem of the crown, it wobbles. But it wobbles because if you bang it against something, it won't damage the movement. So all of that stuff I found fascinating. Just going back into the history of the amphibian, the Komandurski, I think it's fascinating.
No, absolutely. I think that when I first started researching mechanical watches, I started looking at World War II watches,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, this is a field watch too. The Murph is a field
Yes,
watch. I love
absolutely.
field watches. They're so simplistic, but to me they're so cool. And that's where like I went down the rabbit hole of like finding out why they created,
Mm-hmm.
the hack in the movement so that they could all synchronize their watches before they went on missions. And
Mm-hmm.
I think a really cool thing about World War II watches as well was all of these different companies essentially made the same watch.
Yes, yes,
So it's
yes.
like
Right.
they all were they all got in on it. That whether you can look at the German ones too,
Mm-hmm.
but they all were just like, okay, we need watches for our soldiers, and they all use the same design.
Yep.
And a lot of them, it's like they're not even really branded. Like
No,
they weren't worried about putting their name on it. They all built the same thing.
they were, yeah. And then also I was gonna say, so this watch is the Marathon GPM. This was one of the watches that I fell in love with, and I was like, I had to have that watch. So that one comes with tritium inside. So when we talk about field watches and Marathon is known, that's kind of one of their niches, is that they use a lot of the, Solitas and NH and great, but their thing is they use tritium on the dial, which is safe. It's not harmful, but it's so unique that you'll see like around the dial at nighttime, it just glows no matter what. I was like, I had to have it, and this one has the Solita movement in it, the mechanical hand wound movement, not the other one.
They were also very cool at the wind up watch fair.
Yes,
The marathon guys, they were great. They make a great watch.
they
I
fantastic.
would. That's another one that I would love to have someday.
Marathon's good. Yeah,
My my
marathon. Yeah.
my budget's a little tight. I get a lot of Casios because they're fun. You can get them for like 15, $20, but
Then like Casio, I hold in high regard, Jay, in high regard, Timex and Casio. Especially when you look at what happened during the quartz crisis and what a lot of these Rolex and a lot of the luxury watches started to do. Casio and Timex were one of the few that actually went all in on quartz. And a lot of the designs, especially Casio, is so timeless. I don't care. You could be the most wealthiest guy or not. Casio will always look good no matter what. And I think that's,
absolutely.
yeah.
I sold when, like I said, that first lot of watches that I got. One of them was this is where I started figuring out what a mechanical watch was because I changed the battery in a bunch of them, and then
Uh-huh.
one of them I opened it and there wasn't a battery, and I was like, oh, "What is this?" And it was a Timex. Shoot, what was the model? It was from the 70s, and
Mm.
it was a hand wound mechanical one. And
Ooh,
now looking back, I'm like, I regret that I sold that.
that'd been nice. It wasn't the Marlin. It wasn't like,
It was like a Mercury, I think is what it was called.
I have to look into that. Sounds nice. I have to look
Yeah,
into
no,
that.
it was like I sold it. It's like $70. It wasn't anything crazy, but like I got all the watches for like $11 each when you priced out the lot. So it was like
Okay.
I made a nice profit, but I was like looking back, I'm like, man, I probably should have kept that one. But
Yeah.
there was a Timex Weekender,
Mm.
which is
That's
like honestly, if anyone's looking to get into watches, that's actually where I would probably send most people. Is
yeah.
the Indiglo is so much cooler than people realize.
Yes. Yes.
It's like it'll goes with any outfit.
Yep.
Classic styling.
Classic.
The only thing is it ticks a little bit loud. But
Yeah.
as long as that doesn't bother you,
Then it's good.
it's like what 30, $40.
Yeah, you get them all day on Amazon for like 30, $45 at the most. Yeah.
They're such a fantastic watch. Timex has so many great models. I've really wanted to get into some of their chronographs. The Q,
Ah, the Q series. Yeah. Yeah.
they have some really cool ones. And again, I feel like Timex gets overlooked because people just they think it's a cheap brand, but
That's what
there's so much history there, and they make a ton of stuff.
they make a ton of stuff. And then the other one that I want is the Marlin Jet. They make a almost just
Oh yeah, that's a real nice one.
the Tiffany. Have you seen the Tiffany blue one? That, oh my
Yeah,
God, that's one I was like, I gotta get that. But they always sold out. But yeah, Timex history, their ideology has always been the same, which is they want to make watches for the everyday working man and woman. That's been their ideology since the start, right? In
yeah.
Waterbury, Connecticut. And I think that a lot of people, when they like, and I think I made a video on this. They said, "Oh, it's just bargain bin watches." Like, yeah, that's not that. That's the whole point, is so that you can get a watch and get into it. It's not that they're cheap. They wouldn't be around since 1854 if they were. They're doing something right.
And they do. I mean, they make like the Jack Nicholson famously wears what do they call it? The Easy Reader.
Yeah.
Like
Yep. Yep.
super generic looking grandpa watch, but they make so much more.
Classic. That you have the Marlin, you have the Timex Q series, you have the Weekender, which I love. And then once you start to look at, like, I just bought the chronograph. It has like one pusher on it, so it doesn't have the double pusher. It's the GMT. It's the Waterbury GMT. I just bought that one because I thought it looked cool. It kind of has the Pepsi colorway. But yeah, I mean, you can't beat, like, pound for pound bargain wise. I mean, Casio and Timex is going to beat pretty much everyone else all day long.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Casio, I actually saw something recently. Casio is allegedly coming out with an automatic watch. And it's
Yes.
probably going to cost too much, but I'm going to have to get it.
Yes, yes. I have the so it's funny that you say that. So the Casio Edifice that I have, which is the chronograph, um,
That one's on
it's
my list too. That
it's
exact model.
it's
I've seen
amazing.
it
It's
on your
amazing.
page.
And the thing is that I'm glad you said that. I was surprised that they haven't yet, but now that they're going to, I've always said, if Casio ever decides to really be serious, they're gonna really, really, like, surprise a lot of people. And the Casio Edifice is kind of the start of that, and it's built. It's exceptionally built.
Yeah, Casio, I mean, they make so many affordable models that
Yeah.
I don't think people realize that they do have higher end stuff. Like the whole Edifice line is, and that was one thing with the whole watch world that took me a little bit to understand is once you start getting into complications like chronographs or GMTs, or there's all these like niche things that watches can do that people used to really care about because they didn't have phones in their pocket that could do all that stuff. But
Right.
it really is it's pretty neat, the stuff
Yeah.
that they can squeeze into these tiny little spaces.
It's yeah. I'm always fascinated about, especially when it comes to the micro brands, when we're talking about chronographs and seeing all the, like, unique ways that they're able to kind of put chronographs together or make, whether it's GMTs or anything like that. One of my favorite ones is Boulder. I love Boulder. They're another great.
Boulder, they were another one. I met them too. They were great.
They are I'm telling you, Boulder is fantastic. So I climb mountains in my off time. Like, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro twice. I've done Mount Baker. I've done a ton of mountains. And every time I go, that watch is on my wrist. So it's been through literally all the elements, and it looks fantastic. I got the titanium version. It looks great.
That's what they make. I used to be an EMT,
Hmm.
and they make one specifically for like medical
Oh,
professionals.
I know what you're
With
talking about. Yeah,
and
it's
it's
a
like,
white dial one, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I've always wanted to get it. It's like I don't do that anymore, but it's like it's such a cool like throwback to what I used to do. And I think that's a lot of things, like that's something that people overlook is you can tie watches to different events in your life. Like getting the Murph for my 40th birthday is like
Hmm.
Interstellar was such a cool movie. And
Right.
specifically the Murph was a watch given by Matthew McConaughey's character to his daughter. I have one daughter and I'm like someday I'm going to give her this watch.
Mhm.
She's 15. Like I told her about this and she's like
Mhm.
whatever. She couldn't care less now, but I'm pretty sure someday she will. And it's
Absolutely.
like I get to pass on this cool piece, something that's going to go through all different events in my life that she can remember
Oh
when
yeah.
she thinks of it. And it's like I, I didn't think of any of that before because I used to always be the kind of guy that was a little bit critical of watches, and I was like, why would you pay so much money for that when you have a phone in your pocket?
Right.
But
Right.
it really is like it's a fantastic way. Like if you have, I've seen so many on Reddit, especially so many dudes who get specific watches for their wedding or a
Mhm.
promotion. It's like what a cool way to remember these really big events in your life.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you kind of have a duality type thing going on. You have the actual time and time, right? You're kind of memorializing yourself in time by buying a watch to for time purposes. But I agree. I mean that watch the Murph is one of my grails. I mean I really would love to have that. I have the Hamilton Field Khaki King. That one is something that I really want. That would be I really want that one. But yeah, I mean, there's so many watches that I have that's special to me that I've bought, and I can remember the day that I bought it and the reasoning behind it, and especially the watches that I had passed down the same thing. So when your daughter gets that later on, it'll mean a lot more for sure.
Yeah, no, it's so cool. And Hamilton is like, I did a deep dive on them when I was looking for, I was like trying to find a watch for my 40th. I was like, which one's going to make the most sense? Hamilton's such a cool brand too because they're Swiss made now, which is what a lot of people want. For
Hmm.
anyone listening who's not familiar with watches, most people want Swiss made because they think it's the best. And in a lot of cases, that's true. I mean, Japan makes some fantastic watches as well,
Hmm.
but it used to be an American company, so you have like the historical ties to here, and then now it's under the Swatch Group, and
Yeah.
so it is a Swiss made movement, which is very cool.
It's very.
Hamilton, I feel like they get overlooked. I think that they make some fantastic watches. Like if you're getting into watches and you want a really solid mechanical, your first mechanical watch, they have it's hand wound only. The Field Watch was I
Yeah.
think it's 38 millimeters.
Yeah, 38. Yeah, it comes in 38 millimeters. Yeah.
And I think it's around $500. That's a solid watch.
Absolutely. I would say yeah, Hamilton and Tissot are two companies I think that's right in that entry level trying to get you into like the higher end watches. But yeah, the Hamilton Field, the Tissot Gentleman. A lot of people love the PRX, but I would really try to push people to get the Gentleman. The Gentleman is made with different materials. The
Yeah,
PRX has the plastic bits inside, and the Gentleman has the Powermatic 80 movement, but it has the silicon spring and it's built a lot differently than the PRX.
yeah,
Um, and so yeah, but Hamilton, I love my Hamilton Field Khaki. I love it. I have the King 2 automatic, which has the date complication at the 12 o'clock position, where most of them they have I think it's the date only at the 3 o'clock position, and it has
right.
the red tip. Mine has the white tip. So they have different variations, and I mean, yeah, it's spectacular. I love Hamilton.
Yeah, they're great watches, and I went through because part of me I tried on a bunch, and I almost got the one with the day date at 12 o'clock.
Hmm.
Kind of because I was like, I kind of wanted something that looked like a Rolex Explorer,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
and I'm glad I didn't go for it. I would like one someday,
Hmm.
um, but I'm glad I went with this one just because I found more meaning with it. But um, that was another thing that really took me by surprise as I started learning more is the complications.
Yes.
And it's like these are tiny, tiny devices, and the things that they're able to do with just gears, it's mind blowing.
It's mind blowing. Even when you look at Hamilton, right? So the Hamilton, for I give you an example, they have the ETA, I think 2830. I might be pronouncing the two, but they have an ETA movement, and then they switch to the Powermatic 80. And just that difference alone in the power reserve makes a big difference. Even though you have some people that really prefer the ETA movement, I actually don't mind the Powermatic 80 movement as it is kind of an evolutionary step
Right.
as far as when we're talking about internal components. So just to be able to do something like that and to make a little bit of an adjustment to now you have a lot more power reserve and the gears and how they function. I mean, hats off to the watchmakers out there because that is something very very tough to pull off.
Have you seen? I think his name is Wristwatch Revival on YouTube.
I don't think I've seen him.
He they're always about like in 45 minutes to an hour long videos where he
Mhm.
services watches.
Oh, I'll
And
have to watch that.
yeah, no, that's really what got me into it. Is like sometimes it'll be like a viewer will send in a watch. Like I watched one the other day where it was just an old Seiko. Like it wasn't anything special, but it was
Mhm.
his grandfather's, and he wanted it serviced to work so that he could wear it on his wedding. And this
Mm.
guy fully disassembles them, cleans everything up, you know, greases everything, and he shows you how to do all of it. And his channel in particular, like, really got me even deeper down this rabbit hole because, like, he'll go so far as like, I'd never even thought of this, but like, he'll do everything he can to save every original piece. Like, he won't replace the mainspring if he doesn't have to. Like, if it's not broken, he keeps it. He's like, he wants everything to be intact
Wow.
from, whatever year that watch was, so that that person still has that connection to it. And it's
Wow.
like, we live in a very electronic world where
Mhm.
everything's replaceable, and like, seeing stuff like that is so cool to me.
That is fascinating. I definitely want to see that's I love to geek out, especially on stuff like that. So that's definitely a channel that I'll give a look at because I think that's so cool. But to be able to do that and to restore watches like that and to be able to see all the components, and you'll be surprised how many they are. It'd be a watch this size, but it'd be a table full of pieces. Like, what? How did
Yeah,
they
and
do that?
and he always does. He does like a video clip every time of all the parts once he has them out, and it's like, there's so much going on in such a small space. And the fact that they've been doing this since the 1800s, it's
That's
like,
the
it's amazing that anyone was ever able to come up with this. It's so crazy.
Yeah, and then you look at like you had the just the evolution from like you said the gigantic ones, then you had the wall clocks and the house clocks, then it went to then you had the pocket watches, then the wrist watches, and it's just we've kind of seen them gradually get smaller and smaller. Now I think the is it Hublot or one of the main ones they made the super thin watch that's like this
Oh, it's like
thin.
1.2 millimeters.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
It's insane.
I'm like, okay, this is getting out of hand now. Okay, well, what's next? But I mean, I appreciate all facets of watchmaking, no matter what it is. I think it's just spectacular to be a part of the innovation taking place now, and just being a part of watchmaking as a whole. It's pretty cool.
That's why I think last year, I think it was Patek, where
Hmm.
they came out with it was a pocket watch, I believe, and it had the most amount of complications of any watch. It was like a world record thing. I think it weighs like 2 pounds
Oh my goodness.
because it has
Okay.
so many complications in it. It's
Yeah.
like I've tried to explain to some people too that aren't necessarily watch people. It's like, you get into some of the high horology stuff, like perpetual calendars are insane. It's like,
Yeah.
these watches, in theory, if you set it and you keep it wound, it can do leap years. It can tell you the moon phase for like the next 99 years, all based on gear ratios. Like, it's crazy how complicated and cool these things are.
Yeah, that is. I haven't really tipped or dipped into perpetuals, but I've started to try to learn about them. That just seems I don't even know who decided to create that, but that's crazy
It's
just to
like
think about.
wizardry.
Yeah, it's
It
straight
doesn't even
magic.
it doesn't make sense. So what are some of your grail watches? Like,
Oh,
realistic grail watches.
realistic grill watches for so I would just stick with three, just be realistic. So it'd be the Rolex Air King, that's one. The Tudor Ranger, that's two, and then the Omega Speedmaster. That'll be the third one for me.
Yeah, the Omega Speed, that's the number one for me.
Okay, what about you? It's Omega Speedmaster one? What's the other two?
I would really, really love a a vintage Royal Oak.
Oh, a vintage one. Okay.
Yeah. Like the 36 millimeters from like the 70s.
Perfect size. Perfect size.
And they're more affordable.
Yeah, I would.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're not affordable, but they're more affordable than the new ones.
that's for
But
sure.
I think you can get into those for like a little bit more than like a Submariner.
That's
And
not bad.
I feel like that'd be such a cooler piece. But yeah, the Speedmaster is for sure. Like, that's, if I could buy any watch, that would actually be it.
Mhm, that's one.
But the AP makes some cool stuff.
Yeah, they make some nice stuff. They do. I think so. I've always been like I said when the Tudor Ranger for me is I guess how you see the Speedmaster. That's a watch that I really really want. It means a lot to me just because of what the Ranger symbolizes, and also because I'm not really a huge fan of the Rolex Explorer. I know a lot of people will be blasphemous. Oh my god, but I just don't necessarily like it. I love the utilitarian design and it's simplistic. Looking at the Tudor Ranger dial,
Yeah.
it's like a flat black, almost a matte black dial, and it's nothing really on it. And I like that. That's just what I want. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I'm with you there. That's a very cool. You know what? Actually, my third grail would be
Which
a
one is that?
Spring Drive Grand Seiko.
Yes.
Specifically, what's the name of the one with the like
The snow, not
the
the.
cherry blossom dial?
Oh, I know he's the one. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah,
Wow,
those are real nice.
those are that is. Grand Seiko doesn't get enough love, and the Spring Drive and their dials. They make some of the best dials in the industry,
Hands down.
hands down. It's
And people think of Seiko as like an entry level, and Seiko is an entry level, but even within Seiko, they get fairly high end before you even get to Grand Seiko. Like if you look at like a 62 Moss,
yeah, yeah,
that's a solid watch.
it is. They you look, and then a lot of people are like, yeah, your Seiko fives, yeah, that's your entry, yeah. But then you start to go above that. You get to your prospect series, and you get to Seiko monsters, you get to the Seiko tunas, and you get to samurais, and then you go above that, and you start to get higher up. And the quality, you can definitely see the quality. I know a lot of people kind of get on Seiko for their quality, but to be honest with you, the higher up you go, the quality is definitely there.
Yeah, my only gripe with Seiko currently is I think we've reached a point where for what they're charging, I think they could give you a better crystal.
Yes,
Like
I agree.
Long Island Watches basically gives you a Seiko with better specs for
Mhm.
less money. So it's like I know it's possible.
It's possible, and Orient is now the new Seiko. That's the way I look at it. Orient
Orient
does, they make
Orient's
they make,
fantastic.
and they come with sapphire crystals, even
Yeah,
on their lower end models. You look at the Bambino or the Mako or any of those, they come with sapphire crystals. They're fantastic.
I have a Bambino with the small seconds. I love super vintage looking, such a cool piece. I really do want I can't decide because I like the Mako kind of has more of an explorer look to it with
It
the
mhm.
the 12, 6, and 9 with the date there. But the Kamasu is a really nice watch too.
The Kamasu, yeah,
I've never been
definitely.
able to decide between the two, and that's why it's like I haven't pulled the trigger on either yet because I'm like I don't know which one I want.
It was hard for me until they came out with the colorful one that I got. It's like the apricot dial one.
Yeah,
On the brown leather strap. When they came out, that's a Mako series. I was like, I gotta get. I was thinking about getting a Kamasu, but when they came out with that, I was like, I gotta get that one. I want that dial. That dial is spectacular.
the Kamasu comes in a maroon.
Ah,
That was one I was looking at is like trying to get some color dials into my life
that's
because besides my Citizen, everything I have is a black dial.
it's black. Yeah, yeah. It's tough. Like I think the Citizen I have is the yellow one. I mean, I have green dials, these burgundy dials, but I recently just started getting into color, similar to you. But most of the time, it's like I just like the understated look, I guess. So
And I think that's why I like field watches so much is because they're super understated and they're just also so practical.
you can't beat them. Not you can't. I mean, I'm not real. I'm in the divers, but I'm not really in the divers. I have a love hate relationship with divers. I'm more of a field watch guy.
The only diver I have is the Addis Dive Captain Willard homage, and that's only because I can't afford a vintage Captain Willard. I would
Hmm.
love to have one. I think they're such a unique like case shape, but
They are. Yeah, I think.
Seiko
I
makes a
think.
newer version, but it doesn't quite.
Uh-uh. No, it doesn't. It
You have to
doesn't.
spend too much because if you get I forget what it is. It's the turtle and there's like a king turtle, but it's like
Yeah.
again you're looking at like close to $500 and you don't get a sapphire crystal.
Yeah, you don't get. Yeah, I was disappointed because I have the Seiko Monster, and it was like $485 or somewhere around there, and it doesn't come with wait, does it come with a sapphire? I don't know. I don't think it does. I don't think it. No, I don't think it does come with a sapphire. No.
That's my biggest gripe with Seiko is a lot of them don't come with the sapphire, and I really feel like that because all these micro brands do it too. It's like
Yeah. I don't know why. Now I will say this. I so Laurier, that's another fantastic micro brand company. I love Laurier. Now they do it on purpose though. So especially their Laurier Neptune, it's because it's derived from the 1960s and 70s where they didn't have sapphire crystal. So they actually put a Hasselite crystal on theirs, but that's just for the period and the time, and they're trying to have that vintage style look.
yeah, and that's another one that's on my list too. I tried that one on at the Wind Up Watch Fair.
They are
Real
they
real
are
nice.
I love. the founders of Laurier. I think it's the husband and wife.
Yep.
And I remember I ordered the Laurier Neptune a couple years ago, and they handwrite um, you a card, and they put it in there. So when you open it up, you actually get it from and it's signed from them. It's actually really cool. I love
No,
it.
that's awesome. Andy is way more into micro brands than me. He's like more familiar with them, and he's big on Formex.
Yes, he got me into Formex. Like I remember talking to him, and he was like, "Bro, you got to get on Formex." And he was at that event not too long ago where he was actually invited to the event to unveil
Yeah,
the
I,
design.
I was supposed to try and meet up with him because he came down to the city, and
Mm.
I'm like 15 minutes from the city, but it's like it just didn't work out. But yeah, that was so cool.
Formex is nice. Formex is nice, and then I think he also has the Echo Nutura that's another fantastic watch. That's they make a really nice like that black dial. Oh, man, that's a nice watch.
That watch event blew me away because like I knew micro brands existed, like I
Mhm.
knew some of them, but going to that event and getting to like talk to their reps and see them and handle them, and there's so many and for the money they give you such a fantastic value. They really do put as much into these watches spec wise as they possibly can.
Yeah, it's really just for them to showcase how innovative they can be in comparison to a lot of the main brands. And like for example, like Zelos. They're one of the obviously we know Christopher Ward is kind of now mainstream, but they were a micro brand.
Yeah,
And now Zelos to me is in that where they are teetering on mainstream, but Zelos makes fantastic watches. And then you have Notice that I really like. Notice makes
yeah,
really good. And then yeah, I mean micro brands are fantastic. It's a great time to be a micro brand company. I love the technology coming out.
it is. Who else blew me away at the Watchback Expo?
Who's that?
I feel bad every time because I can't pronounce the name of their brand. It's K. I think it's Koei. It's like Kuoe, the
Oh, from
Japanese brand.
Japan. From Japan. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, their watches were so elegant, and they were so nice too. I mean, honestly, everybody at the Watch Expo, it was amazing. I met a couple content creators as well.
They have they make that brass one, right? I think
Yeah,
okay, I've definitely seen people that actually have gone to Japan and actually went to the shop and made them there. That's what I want to do.
and you can customize everything.
Everything? Oh wow.
I think you can choose the dial, you can choose the material, the band, everything. Like I think you can even change the hands,
Wh- Okay, now that's got to be on my bucket. I got to go and do that at least once so I can get one of those.
and they're reasonably affordable. Like they're not crazy priced for what they are.
So they're what around like between $300 and $500?
Yeah, yeah. I think that they make one model that has that's like more of a dress watch. That I think might be like 600, 700.
Still
But
fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah, that's fantastic. Wow. Yeah, they're. You know what? I need to go to one of these watch events. I was thinking about next year going, starting off with Watches and Wonder, trying to see if I can get a chance to go to Geneva, or I think it's in Geneva, Switzerland, to try to go
yeah.
there. And then I want to do wind up watch fairs. I think they have them periodically in different places, or is it in the same location?
They have them. I think they have them in San Francisco, Chicago, and New York.
Okay.
I believe. I know Chicago and New York for sure, but I think they do have one in Cali.
Okay. I definitely want to try to go to one so that I can see a lot of these brands in person. And do they have the CEOs and people behind the watch companies there, or is it just reps?
A lot of them is just reps, but some of them, like some of the smaller micro brands,
Hmm.
there's definitely like I'm trying to like for Formex. I'm pretty sure the guy that founded it was there
Okay. Nice.
because I Andy was at that event too, and we didn't know each other yet, but um, I think that might have been where he connected with the Formex guys.
Okay.
But
Okay.
like Oris and Christopher Ward and some of the bigger ones, it was just reps.
Okay. Yeah, makes
But
sense.
but they were fantastic though. Like they were for sure watch guys. Like they weren't just salesmen, and they were all about getting you to try it on, giving you all the information that they could, and for the most part, I don't remember any of them trying to sell to me. Like buying it didn't even really come up. They were just like there to answer your questions and show it off, which was
Wow.
pretty cool. Like Um, Long Island Watches was cool too. They had a ton of stuff and they were super friendly. And then I met like Jody, what's his name? He's an Australian guy. Just One More Watch on
Oh,
YouTube,
Jody. Yeah, yeah.
and he has Erebus. He was so cool. Um, I met Chronometer Check on
I,
TikTok,
I think I've heard of Chronometer Check. Yeah.
and he was hanging out. He was talking with oh, what's his name? He's a British guy that lives in Philly. The Watch Gentry, I believe, is what it is
Oh,
on YouTube.
oh, is it? Oh, yeah. He's about the urban
Urban
gentry.
Gentry. There you go. Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah,
yep,
yeah.
yep. He was there. Ben's Watches was there. I didn't come across him, but
No.
I wanted to meet him only because I'm pretty tall,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I know he's tall, and I was looking out for tall guys, and I was like, is he taller than me? He might be. I'm like 6'4". I think he's got me beat though.
Oof. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think the only person I know I said if I ever could get a chance to would be Teddy Balthazar, just because just to be able to meet him because I think in the watch space he's one of if not the top guy in the watch space as far as like YouTube and TikTok is probably concerned.
Yeah,
And then it would be my dream. I don't know. We'll see. I would love to make my own watch. I think, especially if you're in a heavy into watches like I am. I mean, that's kind of the next evolutionary step. Is okay. I think I can make one myself, but we'll see. I haven't
yeah.
decided. Yeah.
No, Teddy seems like a really cool guy. Where he's in Ohio, I believe. I think in Cleveland, where
Yeah. Yeah.
he opened a brick and mortar shop.
Yeah. Yeah. He did. Yeah.
He seems I think he probably does reviews better than anybody else. I watch his reviews and like I'm mad at them secretly because I'm like I don't know how to come across the way he does because it's so effortless. It seems like at least, and he's so knowledgeable.
Super, super knowledgeable. Yeah, he was. I would say he was one of the first guys that I looked at on YouTube that kind of got me into like the higher end watches. And I said, these are interesting. Okay. And I kind of got more involved with him. And then I started to like Just One More Watch, the Urban Gentry. And there's other guys, there's a plethora of different guys that I'm forgetting, but they've all been, exponentially helpful for me, especially on my watch journey. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
That also I really like the Mad Watch Collector. He's a British.
Oh, I love him.
Oh, he cracks me up.
I was just in here because I hop into his live every once in a while, and he answers everyone's questions. Like I remember, I was telling him like, oh yeah, I just got the CWC Melder 72, and he was one of the guys that really pushes CWC,
Yeah.
and he was like, oh, that's a fantastic watch. I hope you enjoy it. It's one of my favorite. Yeah, he's really cool. Definitely.
Yeah, I was in one of his lives and I was like, you know what? I was like, I should email him, see if I could get him on the podcast too.
I think he would probably do it. He's so down to earth. Like I really
Yeah.
don't. He seems to be the easiest to approach, if that makes sense.
And
Yeah.
and he also like he's done a couple collabs with different brands to make like his watch.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he also like he has so much great advice for like entry level stuff like Casios like and I think everybody could own a Casio.
Yes.
And it's like when I do my Watch Wednesday videos, I've showcased a lot of Casios. Is like if anyone's even considering a watch, like get a Casio. They're $20.
Absolutely.
There's any style that you could want, they have,
Hmm.
and just see if you like watches.
Yeah. That's the. I mean, that's great advice. I think because you can't go wrong with even with the I forgot the not the AE 1200, but I have another one. There's so many different ones, like from their world timers to just
Yeah.
their vintage ones, like, and they look so cool. Like they just look cool. They
Well, it's
do.
like my cheapest Casio is a lot of people call it the Tyler the Creator.
Okay.
It's just a basic analog field watch that Tyler the Creator wore a couple times and people went crazy about it. It's like I got it for like $14.
Right. See.
And then it's like you look at like Bill Gates wears the Duro
Mhm. Yeah, he does.
and it's
Yep.
like classic diver. Like if you want it, I mean they're a little bit big. I have large wrists so I can pull it off, but like $50. And then between 14 and 50 you could find any style you want. Like that I think it's the MRW 200 where it's a black face with white numbers
Yep.
where
Yep.
and it's got it's not like a clicky ring, but it has like the dive.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's like it still has it. And it's like so there's like all these features you can try out on watches for under, like usually around $20.
yeah, they're yeah, no, you're not gonna beat Casio. And then I always tell people if you want to step up, go Casio Timex, then go into Citizen, then dip into Orient. And if you like Orient, go into Seiko. If you like Seiko, and then just kind of see evolution, little baby steps going up the ladder. But um Timex Casio is definitely one of my definitely go to for entry level.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't beat that.
Yeah, they're so affordable and they're so cool. I,
I,
I I did a state of the collection. I think it was last week where I realized I think I left a couple Casios out, but it's like I think I have like a dozen of them.
it's so odd. Like you'll start collecting them, and then you'll just magically have 10, and you'll be like, "Dang, I got so many now."
Yeah,
Because they're so you just love to collect them just for the love of collecting. But they're awesome though.
they are, and it's like I got into well, once I figured out AliExpress. It's like I got different color straps for the AE 1200 that look like NATO's.
Yep.
They're like $7. It's like I
See.
have a green one and I have a black one, and that's another thing too that I think people don't realize with watches is that like once you get a watch, like I have three straps for the Murph. And it's like every time I change it, it's like I feel like I have a new watch.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think when you start to, especially when you have like black, like for like the Murph, you can mess around with like the green, you can mess around with tan,
yep,
you might mess around with maybe if you want to go red, a little bit more bold, but it just you're right, it's a different watch.
I have a tan one. Barton is the brand that this one is,
Okay.
and they're like 15 to $20 for the straps. And this is just the classic olive drab green, like the military green. But they have a tan one, and I'm like, that would look pretty good on the Murph. Like
Yeah.
that's on my Amazon wish list someday.
Is it so that's NATO, right? It looks leather, but it's NATO or is it leather?
Yeah, it's NATO,
Oh, okay. Huh.
but it's an actual like it's a
Oh,
one of the ones where it has like the quick release.
the I love those. I love
Yeah, so
those.
it's not an actual NATO because it's not one piece. It's like a two
Mhm.
piece. Like it looks like a NATO.
That's a fantastic watch, man. I
Yeah,
that's a fantastic watch. Definitely. Because that watch is it's in a close to about it's 1,000, right? Give or to
yeah,
or close to yeah. That's fantastic though.
yeah.
That's
You can get it on the gray market for a little bit less, but like yeah, and this is the it comes in 38 or 42.
I want the 38 one for sure. If I
Yeah,
can
this
get the 38
this is
one.
the 42. I went with that because I wanted it has the Morse code on the second hand.
Oh, I gotta look into that. That's oh man,
Yeah, the
that's
38
dope.
doesn't have it, but it like I can just barely pull it off. Like it's as big as my wrist. Like
Okay.
I have like a 7.25 inch wrist.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's
That's
like, but I've seen a lot of people on the Hamilton subreddit where they're like, "Is this too big?" And it's like, yeah,
yeah,
for a lot of people, it looks like a dinner plate. Like I barely get away with it.
yeah. I
It is a
definitely,
big watch,
definitely for that one. For most, if not all, is yeah, 38 is gonna be the way to go for sure.
and the 38 you can get with an actual bracelet too, which is cool.
Yes,
The
that's why I
the
wanted it.
42 you can't get.
Yeah. I've actually had people because I have the Seiko Alpinist and I also have the Laco, the Flieger watch, German Flieger watch. And I swapped those off of their leather straps. I just didn't really care for the leather. And a lot of people say, oh, why'd you do that? I like those. I understand. But for me, I like to wear these watches more casual. So the bracelet just feels better. The leather is fine, but especially the Seiko Alpinist one, that is not a good strap. It is not the one it comes with is not good. It's not comfortable.
It's Seiko that's actually probably my favorite Seiko.
The Alpinist?
That and the like a vintage Captain Willard,
Hmm.
but those are my two. But the Alpinist is such a nice watch.
It
I
is.
that was on my list too when I was choosing a watch. My parents aren't watch people. Dad, if you're watching this, thank you. I appreciate this, but I know you're not a watch guy. But he just went with whatever I suggested. I was like, yeah, this is the one you should get me. But
Definitely.
the Alpinist was way up on my list too because that, like I said earlier, green's my favorite color, and that is like the perfect green.
It is it. I tell people it doesn't do it justice online, but the way that the green and gold just pop, it is something just to you just want to. You don't even want to wear. It, you just want to hold it and be like, I just want to look at it.
Also, the two crowns, I think, is such a unique look.
It is.
It's different. I really, yeah. I'll someday I'll have one of those too.
Yeah, they have the smaller version of it. They have another version. I didn't really like that one. And then also they have the newer ones, the GMT ones with the different. Have you seen the different dial colors of
Yeah,
the newer? They're cool, but I still, no matter what, prefer the
yeah.
green
No,
and gold.
the green is it.
Yeah.
I will say there is one Seiko that I really want, and it's a JDM model, and it's their GMT, but the field version with the white dial where it looks like an Explorer 2.
What? Oh, wait, is it the it has does it have the bezel with stainless steel?
Yeah,
Oh, and it's so because the one I know is black, so they have the
yeah. In
okay.
Japan, you can get a white dial.
How much is that to import?
I don't think it's that bad. I've checked
Okay.
it out. I think you can get it for like $400.
That might be that's just as expensive if I'm not mistaken than the black one that they sell. It's
Yeah,
pretty much close. Okay, I'd
yeah.
rather have that one.
Because for a while, like I have no need for a GMT, but GMT is actually one of my favorite complications. I think they're cool.
Yeah, they're cool.
Um, and I was looking, they have the one that looks just like a Seiko 5, and those are okay. But then they came
Mhm.
out with the field version, and I was like, that's cool.
That's
And
the one.
then the white dial one, it really does. It looks like an Explorer too.
I now have to look into that. See, I was thinking about picking up another watch. It was gonna be either it was gonna be probably another. I was thinking about that Bolger, that Field Medic. I really was like, man, I really want to put this, or I wanted to notice they have a GMT that I was looking at. But I think I might have to look into that one. If I'm gonna I might have to try to get that watch. That seems a little bit more up on it.
There we go.
Oh, that is that is look at that is fantastic.
Yeah, 420 bucks.
Yeah, that's yeah. You might have just sold me, Jay. That might be the one I might have to go. That was fantastic.
I've had my eye on that one for a while.
Ah, that wow. I didn't. It looks. You're right. It looks exact. Like if no one knows, they're probably gonna think you're wearing the Explorer too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. And
Yeah.
I actually I don't own any Seikos.
You don't?
No, I have the Addis dive with a Seiko movement, but I actually don't have any Seikos.
Oh, it's
I
crazy.
do need to get one.
Yeah, yeah. You can. Do you want like the base model, like Seiko fives with the old movements in them, or the newer upgraded movements, the 4Rs?
There's a big part of me that wants to get oh, why can't I remember the name now? They discontinued their the dive watch.
Oh, you talking about the SKX, the older
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, there's like a big part of me that wants one just because they're so iconic. But I can like since they stopped making it, the price on the used ones have gone up so much where I'm like, I can't justify it. It's not worth it.
No, it's not. And that's so I have a couple of the older Seiko 5 with the 7S26 movement, and then I have the newer ones with the 4R36. And there's something about those older ones that just have the charm to them. They look a lot better to me. They fit. The proportions are excellent. It's something I don't know what Seiko did, but the older ones, those are the ones you want for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's why every time I look at the SKX, I'm like, Long Island Watches makes a brand new one for less money than the used ones, and
Yeah.
it's got sapphire crystal and technically better specs. And
I mean, I'm hoping because that was one of the complaints with the new SRPD lineups, the Seiko 5, the quote unquote dial style watches, is that people wanted them to go just make a SKX, just go back and just upgrade it. That's what they
yeah,
want. SKX with the new upgraded movements, those things will sell like hotcakes. I am certain they will.
yeah, I don't know why they haven't because they made it look like an SKX, but it only has 100 meters water resistance.
Yeah, it doesn't have the
So it's
screwed up.
like
Yeah.
it looks like a dive watch, but it's not a dive watch.
They're just I don't know. It's like Seiko decided like okay, we don't. I think I talked about this. I think they felt like the next step forward for them was to make a dive watch that looked similar to the SKX, but basically had the versatility to be worn every day without necessarily being needed but in the water. But I'm like, that's the whole point of a dive watch. Like
Yeah,
that's when you take that functionality out of it, I understand kind of, but that's what people want. So just do with that. Just do that, and it'll be good.
and it's like, and if it costs less, it would have made sense, but it doesn't.
It
So it's
no,
like you lost part of the water resistance and it still costs the same amount.
I have a strange feeling that Seiko's going to make that. I have a strange feeling they're going to double back and they're going to say, you know what, we're going to make an SKX now, but we're going to put sapphire crystal. We're going to put a new movement inside of it. We're going to have a different variations of color dials, and the website's going to crash because I'm telling you, if I could get my hands on the older ones, I would. But yeah, the price just doesn't justify me buying it right now.
Yeah, for what it is, it's like used, it's like $150-$200 watch realistically. That's what it should be.
That's what it should be. Yeah.
And it's like people are selling them for $400 or $500, and it's like you can get Hamilton for that. You can get, you can get so much, like not so much nicer, but you can take a step up in quality
Yeah, you can get the Seiko,
for
you can get
that
the
price
Seiko
range.
Monster, you can get the Monster, you can get the Tuna, you can get the
Yeah.
Samurai, you can get a lot of those watches. And it's like, yeah, I would rather just get a Prospects with the all that stuff that one's gonna come with. So yeah, why not? But
But I was really tempted for a while with Long Island Watches makes a GMT, with it's a Seiko GMT movement, and what do they call it? They call it the JFK, and
does it?
it's got like an almost ivory colored dial,
Ooh, okay. Now
and
that's
and
talking.
it's shaped kind of like an SKX.
Huh. Okay. How much is he selling it for on Island?
Oh, I think they're like $300.
He has the game plan locked down. The Island makes fantastic watches. He makes watches that the people want. That's what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see he did a couple collab videos with Teddy?
Yes, I did see those. Yeah.
I was so happy because I feel like Mark has been around for so long, and
Hmm.
he doesn't like have the he might not have like the higher end polish that like Teddy does,
Hmm.
but he's been around and he's got I really feel like he's probably gotten so many people into watches too because he makes such an affordable product. And it was to me it was so cool to see Teddy kind of give him his roses, if you will. Like where he acknowledged, he's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "You've been here for a long time. You've been doing your thing." Like I really enjoyed those collabs and got to kind of see like Mark really knows his stuff about the high end shit too. Like he makes affordable watches, but like he knows his stuff.
Yeah, I think I forgot what video it was. I want to say, was it the Urban Gentry? I think it might have been the Urban Gentry. But even with a lot of the other content creators, he can talk watches with anybody.
Yeah,
And he's another guy that's approachable. And he listens to what people want. That's why I really love him. Is people have been claiming, oh, we wish, like he said, the SKS we want. He said, don't worry, I'll just
yeah.
make what you guys want.
He's like, I got you.
Yeah, I'll make what you guys want. You guys want an affordable GMT? I'll make what you guys want.
He
You know?
cracks me up too because he's one of the only very few people in the world that I feel like can pull off the double wrist watch. And he always has like he usually has like a bright yellow G-Shock on the right wrist and then whatever on the left wrist that he's into that day. But it's like
Yeah,
he's all about it.
he is. He's him and just one more watch and I keep blanking out of the other one, but they were the ones that really kind of their style of video was really captivating to me. And
Yeah,
just to see how they that the camera pans over the watches, I'm like, man, I really don't need another watch, but they're making me want to buy one right now.
100%.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
love.
no, that's fair.
Yeah, it's fair. So I think for me though, I think moving forward, I definitely want to start to get into more. Well, we'll see luxury, but I do want an Oris and a Tudor Ranger. Those are going to be on my near future list just to have, and then we'll see if I can get a Speedmaster. But definitely a Tudor Ranger. If I have a Tudor Ranger, I'll be happy. I don't care. I'm good. I'm good for
It's
rest.
such a good watch. I would love a I should probably add this to my grail list now that I'm thinking about it. The Oris the pointer,
Ooh, okay.
brass with a green dial.
I think I've seen. I know exactly which one you're talking about now.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic watch. Yeah.
I think the concept of a brass watch is so cool to me because they you want them to age. They patina, they take on their own charm and like they look weathered and that's like the whole point. Like I think that's so cool. Again, coming from being a car guy, if you look at like especially in the world of like old trucks, like
Mhm,
50s and 60s trucks, a
mhm,
lot of people will just clear coat over whatever the truck looks like because it patinaed over the years.
mhm.
And it's like you can't beat it because it's like you can't manufacture that. You can't make it. It just it weathered the way it weathered, and you
Mhm.
embrace it. And it's like that's what brass watches are to me.
Yeah, and even because I like cars, definitely are probably I would say I'm not really into them, but I know about them. I go all the way back to like I know that, again I like the history of cars, so the GT40, the Lamborghini and Ferrari rivalry, and how that sparked about, and I love American muscle, like that's something that I love.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
but
where it started for me too.
especially the 19 my grill car is a 1970 no 1969 Chevelle SS. That would be my perfect car.
You're speaking my language. Mine is a 70 Chevelle SS
Chevelle, huh? Okay, yeah.
with a 454.
Yeah, I won't mind a 454 or a 392. I think I'd rather have a 392, but 454, I mean, that's a that's a heck of a motor. Yeah, it's nice.
One of my dad's friends, he has two. Well, no, he had two. He had a convertible for his wife, automatic, and he had a stick shift for himself with a 454.
Mm. See, that if I could have it's either the Chevelle, I'm not really I wanted the it's the Ford the one from Starsky and Hutch.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That one, and then those are the only ones that I really, really want. And a Buick Grand National,
The 80s ones.
the 80s one, yeah, with the turbo.
Love those. I was actually talking to one of my friends about those recently where he he had an Audi S3.
Okay.
He got rid of like a year and a half ago, and he's been chatting about getting another fun car at some point. And he sent me one. It was super clean interior. It was a white one,
Oh,
and
okay.
he was I think it was somewhere on the West Coast. And he was like, if this was closer, I would buy it. It was like 14 grand, and it wasn't a GNX, but it was an SS.
Okay.
And I was like, man, I was like, I don't know, man. You might have to go on a plane ride. That thing is cool.
Yeah, those things are fantastic. Between that and then, I mean, I like the 80s styling. The 90s styling is okay. Like the more modern muscle car that I want is I believe it's the 2004 Mustang Cobra. That one.
Yeah.
That was yeah, that. I mean, I just love the way that the naturally aspirated V8 sounds. You can't. It's the best sound in all of cardom, as you want to say. I think it's the best sound of all time. Really.
I've always been a Chevy guy, but I've owned multiple Mustangs.
Yeah.
Um, Mustangs sound better than Camaros. I love Camaros, but like the Mustangs sound better. I had an 89 notchback, so the ones with the trunk
Okay.
instead of the hatchback.
Mm-hmm.
That thing was I owned it for a couple years, and I lived in Massachusetts at the time, and it wouldn't pass inspection. So I just had to drive it around on a rejected sticker for years because it was heavily modified by the guy who owned it before me, and I had a '98 GT convertible.
Ooh, okay. Those are nice. Those are nice.
Yeah,
I need one of those. I need to try to get one of those old school cars if I can, but we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how things are. Everything's crazy now.
but it's interesting you brought up Ferrari too. Is Rolex is starting to remind me of Ferrari in a bad way because Ferrari's the same way where it's like you can't just go in and buy one. You have to play their game. And it's like famously Jay Leno has said, he's like, I'll never own a Ferrari because I'm not going to play their game.
Yeah.
It's like he has more money than anybody, probably the biggest car enthusiast in the world, and they would still make him jump through hoops. And it's like that's what Rolex has become where it's like you have to go buy a bunch of jewelry you don't want for them to consider you for a freaking um a date just, like
It's terrible. And then, my favorite car of all time would be an Aston Martin. And so that's kind of where it's not similar, but when I think of Tudor, right, I think of Aston Martin, which is blasphemous because technically Omega, with
yeah.
Aston Martin. But for me, I just think that Rolex is just there. I don't know if it's going to take new management to kind of get them back under control because they're going wild. Because when you look at AP, Patek, they know their place. They
Yeah.
understand the market, right? But Rolex wants to be them so badly, but they're not. I've never seen Omega or Tudor try to do any of that stuff. And you can go to an Omega boutique and say, "Hey, you have any Speedmasters? Yeah, come on, we have some." You go to a Tudor. You guys have a Pelagos? Yeah, come in. Go to
Yeah.
you just want a date just or a day date. No, no, you gotta buy this jewelry. What?
Yeah, it's like they want you to make an appointment to even get in the store, and it's like, come on.
Oh boy, man. Like I was recently when I was going, I had stopped over in Doha. They have the tutor shop right in the middle of everything. You can go in and they got plenty of them. I'm like, how come Rolex can't do this? I don't understand.
Well, the thing is, and they can, they make 1 million watches a year. They're not Patek, they're not AP,
Uh-uh.
they're not, they're not Richard Mill, they're not handcrafted.
No.
They're mass produced.
I'm glad you said that, Jay. Thank you, because people will say, "Oh, Rolex is like, no, no, no. To make 1 million watches a year, you have to have some. It's not just all by hand. It's
Yep.
not. And they're like you said, it's a scarcity thing where they're trying to hide a lot of them. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these boutiques have just hundreds of them in the back. They're just like, yeah, we're not going to give them away.
From what I've done some reading on Reddit, and it seems to be the case, is that like they have them.
Yeah.
They really pick, who gets them, who spends the most money. We'll give them a call.
And but see, and the thing is, like I said, it's like, and the guys that actually have access to get Jaeger-LeCoultre, JLC, or Vacheron Constantine, when they have those watches and someone walks in with a Rolex, they're like, it's not, it's like, okay, you have that, but understand that the Rolex that you do have is not an AP. It's not what we have. It's different. It's
Yeah,
levels. And I don't know if it was COVID that did this, but I feel like before like 2018, like before then, it was easier to get a Rolex.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
what
And
happened.
I think that they really have. Like, I'll give them credit in the sense that they really have done a fantastic job with marketing, making themselves seem like they're so elite, and they're really not.
No, they're not.
It's like they make great timepieces. Like, don't get me wrong, but
Absolutely.
like a Submariner is not crazy special.
No, no.
And to me, I think one of the biggest turnoffs with them is like every finance bro wants to get a Submariner. You know what I mean? Like people who aren't watch people, they get a Submariner because it's a Rolex, and like it's just about the status symbol. And it's like Vacheron makes some better watches, to be honest.
They do. The one thing that grinds my gears is whenever you see a lot of the smaller, well, I call them smaller, but like let's take Boulevard for example. If Boulevard decides to make a watch and it looked aesthetically pleasing, but so well, it looks like a Rolex. I'm like, not everything looks like like these companies came before Rolex. Like, why do we why do we do this?
That's such a funny topic too, because I feel like today more than back in the day, like people are super critical of homage watches.
Yeah.
And it's like you've realized if you go back to the 50s, everybody was copying everybody. They
Mm,
all copied each other so much.
yes.
And
Yes.
it's like realistically, you go back. There's a whole debate between whether Blancpain or Rolex was the first with the dive watch. It
Yeah.
was like 1953, 54. Like there's I've seen people break down the documents and nobody agrees on who was first. But it's like for like 20 years, every watch looked like one of those two because they were the first ones to do it.
They were, yeah.
They were the first legit dive watches, so everybody made watches that looked like them.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not even just watches. If you look at any other facet, if you look at cars when they first started out looked the same. When you look at
Yeah.
even when you go back to the Wright brothers and their battles with I think his name was Curtis. I think I might be I think it's Curtis. But they were making similar models of planes with different small variations, but everyone is going to copy until they start to get their own unique original platform and innovative designs. And that's just how it works. But when it comes to watches, yeah, I'm with you. I don't really understand. I understand Rolex, like the Explorer. Okay, it went to the top of Everest and all of these other stuff. But outside of that, I'm like, they're. I mean, I don't really get the hype. I don't personally.
Yeah, I think the Daytonas are hugely overrated.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
if I'm getting chronograph, it's going to be Speedmaster.
Thank you. Absolutely, I'm with you.
And
Yes.
it's like they don't make it. Well, I guess now they came out with one, but it's like they don't make a dress watch. And the amount of dudes that try and wear a Submariner with a tux, I'm like, nope, that's not it. That's not the move at all.
No, no. But see, a lot of times the guys don't understand. You want something elegant and understated with the tux. You don't want something flashy and
Yeah.
that's you want understated and simplistic. And yeah, I think they used to Rolex used to make those type of watches, but they
Yeah.
stopped. Yeah, they used
Yep.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like for Rolex, it's like I would take an Explorer. I would.
Hmm.
I do like those. And the date eight. Those are iconic too.
Yeah. That I'm only gonna like I said
But
the
it's like
air.
you
Oh,
can
God.
also only get those in precious metal, so it's like they're unrealistic for my budget ever.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can't afford a 14 karat gold watch.
That's why I was like, one and done. I'll just get the Air King. I like aviation. I like pilot style of watches, and that means a lot. But other than that, it's just I don't really see a real point in any of the other models when you can get better.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I'm also into aviation. I like pilot watches a lot too. I
Ethan.
originally when I was 18, I went to an aviation college.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, in my I'm glad you said it. So my job or my profession, I am a aviation engineer.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
So so anything about planes, I work on them. So from the ailerons, vertical, horizontal stabilizers, internal components, safety wiring of the bolts and stuff like that. I've done it. I do it all.
That's awesome. Yeah. When I was a kid, my dad got his private pilot's license. When I was like 13, he for a couple years he had a plane. He had a 1970s Beechcraft Sundowner,
Okay.
single
Okay.
engine, four person plane,
Those are nice.
super slow, very fun.
Yeah, those are nice. A lot of the people that I work with have a lot of them have Cessnas 172s,
Yeah,
all types of stuff.
that's what
Yeah.
I learned on. I went to doesn't exist anymore. I went to a college in New Hampshire called Daniel Webster College. That was an aviation school.
Okay.
So it's like my second week of school. I did my solo flight and
I do want to try to. I thought about getting a private pilot, but only a private pilot license. I don't need anything else. I
yeah.
don't want my dreams to fly. I just want to be able to fly for recreation. That's about it.
No, it's fun. But I decided like by my second year, I realized that it wasn't a career for me because it's like I had a long distance girlfriend back then,
Hmm.
and that made me realize it's like I've always wanted to be a family man. I always wanted to have kids, and I
Right.
was like, I don't want to be gone 2 weeks every month. Like that's realistically what a pilot's life is, and it's like I don't want to do
Nice.
that. So I moved away from that, and then I joined the Navy, and I was an air traffic controller in the Navy.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow.
I'm
How'd you
like
like that?
I'm like 20 years removed, but I did back in the day, I had a heavy rotation of aviation related stuff in my life.
Wow. Okay. So we share a lot in common in the aviation field. That's nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It and it's cool too is a lot of watches tie back to aviation.
They do. That's why the Laco means so much. Like that was my first pilot watch that I wanted. It was gonna be that one or the Interstellar one. Um, but it was too big. I didn't really like the size of it, and Laco made the Aachen in 39 millimeters, so perfect size.
Right.
And the history behind it is I learned a lot about Type A, Type B dials, and it's
Yep.
just a whole thing. Yeah.
Yep. I went down that rabbit hole when I first got into this too. I really want I don't even know what outfits I would match this with, but I really want the Blue Angel Citizen. What is it? The Skyhawk.
Oh, the Skyhawk.
It's
Yeah.
like it's a very like specific like it's blue and yellow. It's their colors,
Yeah, I
but
think
there's
I've.
something what because when I was in the Navy, I went to school for air traffic control in Pensacola, Florida,
Hmm.
and that's where the Blue Angels were. So I saw them fly every day. Like
Wow.
that's where that was their home base. That's where they practiced. And it's like I don't even know what outfits I could match that with, but I'm like I kind of want it. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's funny because my father is from Pensacola, so I've visited Pensacola a number of times. So I definitely am. When I think of Pensacola, I think of Blue Angels, Emmett Smith, Roy Jones Jr. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, yeah, I've seen the Skyhawk Citizen. It's a quirky watch, definitely.
it's very busy. There's a lot going on the dial.
It's a lot going on, but it's it's almost like I think Seiko has uh, a watch similar to the Skyhawk.
Yeah,
It's very busy too, but yeah, I definitely like the color scheme. It's unique.
it is. That's a probable one for me someday. I like Citizen a lot too. I don't.
Citizen. Citizen is again. Citizen doesn't get his just due. Citizen is up there. I think like Citizen and Orient are kind of understated, but Citizen has been hitting the ground running, especially with the a lot of their models. But my favorite being, of course, the Eco Drive ProMaster. I think you
They,
can't
they,
beat that.
they have the best. They have the best solar system, I think.
I
Their
would
eco
even
drives are really solid.
I would even argue to this day, and I'm gonna probably do this on the TikTok page. I'm gonna ask a question. I want someone to name me a more prolific movement in the last 100 years than the Boulevard Accutron and the Citizen Eco Drive.
No, that's a valid point.
And it's gonna be because people don't. They're gonna be like, "What? Like, yeah, the Accutron 1953, which is technically the first electronic wristwatch,
Yep.
and then you have the Eco Drive powered by any type of light source, and you don't need a battery. And it's both of those movements are as accurate as can be.
Yeah.
So, well, and that's kind of my rebuttal to people like, "Oh, Rolex is best." Like, yeah, Rolex is cool, but again, name something that's better than the Accutron or the Eco Drive. If you can,
Yeah.
then I'll wait, but we'll see.
Yep. Well, that's a good tie in here because Zoom's about to cut us off again.
Okay.
So I'm going to link to your TikTok in the description for this episode.
Okay.
If you're remotely interested in watches, you got to go check out Dez's page. He's done some really cool deep dives. I really like the one you did on Timex where you went through all the history.
Yeah.
There's some great content on there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on. We'll have to do this again sometime. There's endless more stuff we could talk about.
Absolutely, Jay.
But thank you so much for joining me. Again, thank you for being patient while I was sick.
No, of course, no problem. I'm glad to be here, and thank you for your time. It was amazing being here.
And everybody, thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your week to join me again on Books and Beyond. And I will be back with you next week. All right, there we go. It's literally going to cut out on us,
All right.
but
All right.
thank you so much for coming on.